It's RBI Baseball 19 on the Nintendo Switch. So yes, I checked out the regular version on Xbox One, and I checked out the Switch version because they are two completely different beasts, with the Switch being able to go into a sort of handheld mode, obviously, and also playing as a docked kind of home console style of the game. So to start, noticeably the multiplayer is not present on the Switch, but you can still do two-player local multiplayer if you want to compete against one another. We got exhibition match, a bunch of different settings. We got the home run derby. We've got postseason to play, and we've got new franchise mode where you can start a 10-season franchise. Pretty cool, right? Settings, a couple different options. Difficulty, music is bumping. You get a couple great tracks, latest hits, kind of new artists, and well-known artists. To be honest, I don't think there's really any new ones, but really popular music, and that really adds to the experience. You can set your favorite team. Roster's up to date, weekly roster updates. We're going to check out the franchise, start a new one just so I can show it off. You kind of pick your roster update too. You get some settings. You can choose like injuries if you want realistic, everything like that. Trades, you can choose the style of it. You can sub players, do all kinds of stuff. You can choose how many games you have. And there are a couple different options once you actually jump into this area. So to start, you can just play the game. You can see the calendar. There's simulations. There's lineups and rotations, standings, team stats. You can trade players. There's free players. Free agents. Kind of same thing. Fair enough. So that's kind of that mode. We're going to pop out and we're going to actually jump into the game. And we're going to play as, I don't know, should we be the Yankees? Or maybe the Legends. So that's right, the game has a pile of legends present in the game, a total of I think it's like 165 all-time greats that are present to play as, so that's kind of cool if you like that kind of thing. I also should have mentioned before you start jumping into a match, you can press the Y button in the exhibition area. We'll probably play another match after I quit after a few innings, just to kind of show off different styles, but in case you don't, you press Y and you can choose how many innings it has and some other settings. You can do day or night, but it would be nice to get some weather conditions included. So the Switch version is a little bit slower to load, definitely a little bit slower. So yeah, should be noticeable. The cinematics a little bit more laggy on the Switch, and the anti-aliasing, it's a little bit rough around the edges. You definitely notice the spikes, and there's like a little bit more of a lag in gameplay, but for the most part it does actually run very well, and it continues that trend where I gotta say that the game is actually like a huge improvement over kind of, well, I don't know if it's a huge improvement over last year, but it's a huge improvement over the just basically what we've been dealing with the game in the past. So I mean, compared to last year, it's actually got a lot of revamped things. On the Switch, again, looking at the visuals, it's definitely toned down quite a bit in terms of just the edges of the world and the characters. They all have like really squiggly lines, and you kind of see that present on when it's undocked too. It doesn't really look that sharp. I mean, it looks fine. It looks pretty good for what it is. Full kind of simulation, because it's an arcade focused game. That's what it's trying to be, is arcade style baseball, with kind of a push towards more of a simulated style. Why isn't the stupid Joy-Cons? I hate these things. I don't know if it's just not registering or not. But yeah, so a big thing to note is the crowd is actually 3D this year, which is super cool. It's been one of my biggest complaints in the general franchise since it was rebirthed. It used to be like flat stick kind of people. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, finally we're seeing that improvement in terms of just adding something more to the crowd. Like, they're not perfect, but they're generally way better being 3D animated characters that kind of cheer and they get up off their seats and stuff, and it's just a lot more dynamic. They've redone like the lighting and everything like that, so it does look a lot better visually. I think all the costumes, the jerseys are all kind of like really styled. They look realistic in terms of the teams. You see that influenced a lot with the back environment too. You like the stands and the billboards and everything like that. And the arenas, they're all authentic, and it's really well done in that regard in terms of capturing the actual places. When you're doing various season things, like if you're doing the first game of the year, or you're doing like playoffs, the field will actually have like a special stamp on it too, which is kind of a cool extra feature, I think. just in terms of adding a little bit more realism to it. Wow, that is a little bit more jumpy. Definitely seems a little bit laggier, kind of gameplay-wise, undocked than it did when I had the game handheld. Because I played one match earlier and it wasn't this bad, but I don't know, a little bit of lag in the gameplay on the Switch version. The physics have been redone in terms of the ball, so the pitch is a little bit different. And it kind of moves and hits a little bit differently, but kind of the same style. It's supposed to be like a minimalistic, streamlined baseball game in the sense that it's easy to pick up, easy to play, but it has all the features that you would expect in this kind of like, baseball game, right? Like you can steal bases, you can substitute your pitcher, and you need to after a while. The injuries, the kind of style and the look, they're definitely getting closer towards, what they were aiming for in regards to making this an easy, more accessible type game. It doesn't look bad on the TV, but it's not, I don't know, compared, like I was just playing the Xbox version mostly today, so it's definitely like a bit of quite a bit of a visual downgrade. So it feels like they almost just used the same resolution between docked and undocked. A good look at the crowd right here. Kind of see this with the actual 3D people. They got different looks to them. It's not perfect, but it's seriously a vast improvement over the cutouts of years that have gone by. So I think that's a big win. What am I doing with the button today? Strike foul. That's not good. It's not good at all. So home run derby, which was the other mode we're showing on, or we're kind of talking about. You're just trying to hit as many home runs as you can, and you get like a certain amount of time to do it. It's a tournament style competition, so you're trying to hit as many as you can in order to progress, and that's kind of what that mode is. I wish they would maybe do something different mode wise. I know it's like fun, but they do capture all of the essentials. You got your season, you got your post game, you got your exhibition, which is mostly what I play. I just play the exhibition just because I want to play a couple matches every now and then, because I do kind of enjoy it. Yeah. Oh, that's not good. But I mean, it does seem to capture the experience of baseball, just with like a little bit more of an arcadey style to it, which I think does work well. Wish the clouds would move too. That'd be nice. So we're going to switch up just so we can see a different kind of arena. I think we're actually going to show off the derby mode that I was talking about, just so you get an idea of it. And jump to the menu. Again, it takes a little bit of time to load. But generally, yeah, the new cinematic sequences are new, and the kind of merge between gameplay, cinematics, and the music, the soundtrack, actually works really well to it. They've got popular artists, kind of building on what I was mentioning just about the audio. They've got Traverchus, One Republic, Greta Van Fleet, and others, so I think that's kind of cool. So you can adjust things, and we're just going to do a quick 1 minute, and we'll do, we'll do Marlins Park. And then there's like a leaderboards and everything too. And you see it's like tournament style, and that's how you compete in this one, which is kind of cool. RBI baseball. But yeah, definitely a little bit slower, not quite as pretty looking, but I think generally an improvement over last year's in terms of visuals and gameplay and functionality. Because you got to remember, like back in the day, it was kind of like, I don't know, it was very sort of plain almost. Ooh, that looks really fuzzy there for a second. I should have lingered on that a bit more. And it's kind of a cool little cinematic segments there. Yeah, aside from that, like I mentioned, I believe earlier, they're going to have weekly updates in terms of the roster. So I would imagine that, it's going to keep up to date with things, which is really nice. That's not good. There we go. Yeah, it seems like a little bit of a lag at times. A little bit of performance issues. It's interesting.
This one's got some legs.
Yeah, it does. Especially during like the cinematic segments. But they have fixed a lot of things. The shadows on the player is a little bit nicer. You'll notice that the equipment's kind of all dynamic in terms of like there's different bats that you're seeing, and different uniforms and everything like that. I don't know if in making the other versions of the game better, they kind of like made the Switch one have a little bit more a performance kind of thing going on there. One thing I don't like about this mode is it doesn't really tell you what you're trying to get home run wise, because then you just sort of lose and you don't really know, like what happened or what you were trying to get. It doesn't really give you like a goal, if that makes sense. So, I'm not a huge fan of the mode, but it is an extra thing that you can take advantage of. Going back to the franchise mode, like I mentioned previously, there's the trade deadline, you can sign free agents, and you can call up prospects. And there's newly added two-way players, so that's kind of cool. And you just kind of get to develop your squad over time. If you're a fan of, doing the whole season thing, which I imagine some people are. And jump to the Yankees. I'll do random. Yeah. Cool. We go to game options. I guess it's not Y, it's X on this version. Sorry. 3, and then you can see time of day, day or night, and mercy rule. Let's do the Coors Field. See, with that MLB licensing, they kind of really get to go, authentic with it and do whatever they want. So that's kind of nice. Yeah, I mean, back in the day, just for context, they had like an outsourced kind of team that worked on the game, and then since last year, it's been in-house development, and you've been seeing huge gains in terms of the quality and the gameplay style, and even just like the updates and improvements have been very widespread as opposed to what we were getting the years prior. I mean, it's done leaps and bounds. I think they're going to have a really, really good and super competent game going forward in the future. No, that wasn't very good. Not good at all. I also really like the animations during like kind of cutscene moments, in terms of like the teams are switching and stuff. You can see all the players running in the background. I think that's kind of a nice little touch. I think that the Joy-Cons are just kind of like not always working, which is no surprise.
That's a
Yeah.
foul ball.
I know like the crowd doesn't look amazing, but seriously, like compared to the cutouts in the past, they're huge improvements. Like I can't even get over that, how big of a deal the changes in this one. But yeah, generally you get the stadiums, you get the style, you get to take baseball kind of anywhere with you. It does, from what I played earlier, it does play a little bit better on when it's undocked in terms of performance, it seems. But just before playing this, I wasn't really having any kind of lag in the gameplay, but I'm definitely seeing a little bit more of it during the filming segment. Let's get going here. Oh, that's not very good. I do wish they would add a little bit of an animation in regards to the sliding. You kind of see the characters, they just sort of slide as opposed to having like a natural movement. Even just like a little bit of a step would be kind of cool to have in their motion as they kind of like, shuffle along to bat or to pitch. Just a little extra, quality to it would be nice. They just kind of like fly around. But it's nice, you get all the different styles, the various, there we go, nice athletes and stuff. Back in the day, they used to just be like Slenderman faces, so this is like leaps and bounds over the years. I do notice the AI is a little bit tough. I kind of mentioned this at all points, but yeah, I feel like pitching's a little bit harder than it used to be in terms of like really being more like easygoing against the AI. So you might have some additional issues there, but generally I think I like the texture improvements. Fields feel a little bit more worn and natural. Double
play.
Nice. I like it. And they've done something like 350 redesigned likenesses, hundreds of new animations, some more realistic player motions, except for their feet where they slide across. It's kind of funny. And better reactions and everything like that, which is true. I know some people kind of have mentioned, I've noticed in the past, that they would like a yeah, it's just like the stupid Joy-Cons always disconnect. Because I just felt the vibration on that one reconnecting. But yeah, definitely a push towards better quality, I think, overall. They're definitely getting there. Switch, honestly, it seems to be lagging a bit behind, but still, it's not bad. I don't know, it depends, I guess if you compare this to the last version, whether, what kind of style you like. I think this one's, overall an improvement over last year, especially on this particular platform. Just in terms of what's like new features and everything like that. And it is kind of cool that you can take this game anywhere with you with the Switch, and you can kind of play it on the screen, and it does look really good undocked, when you're in the mobile. Just a little rough around the edges, like most games are, because of the 720p quality, or sub 720p. I don't exactly know what this game's pushing on the undocked version, but yeah, just something to note there. Let's keep rolling. Switching sides, well, not switching sides, but switching is up at bat. Again, you saw the little players running along. It does seem to be pretty quick, though, for transitions and stuff. It's just loading into the game that takes a little bit longer. Zoop. Oh, nice. Dun, dun, dun. Run. Good job, guys. Run, 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 run. Nice. Great catch, everybody. High fives all around. Yeah, I definitely like what they've done with the menus. Okay, this is what I wanted to mention, because I don't think I went over it. What's the commentation? Some people did mention that they wanted to see that. Personally, I don't really care, but I can see how some might appreciate the, just a little bit of audio over gameplay. So I guess that might be neat to see in the future. Really, my things come down to typical like weather conditions being included, just more refinements to the animations going forward, keeping making the crowd more realistic, more model types. Although density wise they do a pretty good job. It's a huge change over the last one. I'd like to be able to turn off the tooltips, because I don't necessarily want to do what it's trying to tell me to do. But yeah, other than that, I think it's a fairly solid entry this year. Overall, it plays very well on the different platforms. I think on Switch, again, just occasional little hiccups it seems to have. Definitely a little bit smoother now, but you definitely see the little rough edges. And I don't know how much like YouTube's kind of condensing that or making it look better, but it is like a little bit rough around the edges. I've actually got an anti-aliasing cord that's supposed to make it look all smooth, so this will be one of the games I'll test with it. I'm definitely thinking that. Yeah, it seems like a good candidate. Trying to get into this next battle. There we go. So yeah, generally overall, what do you get with RBI 19? You get various improvements, you get legend players, you get an expansive game, various visual enhancements and overhauls over the entire thing. Really great music. Seriously, it actually sounds really awesome. They picked some great tracks for this one. I'm very happy about the options. A further push towards more realism while still keeping that streamlined, easily accessible arcade-style gameplay that I've actually come to kind of enjoy. And a full realistic game that's constantly being updated. Realistic in the sense of the player likenesses and the arenas. Why'd you give me this player, not the one that's actually close to it? Ground rule double. Get that out of here. And I mean, it's the full game, right? You could play like this sort of season, whatever season like you like, matches, the different innings. Ooh. And you can do that anywhere on the Switch. It does have the negative of not having the multiplayer, which is a little bit disappointing, because I know some people be like that. I don't know if they'll add it in after. I haven't heard any word about it. I actually assumed that all versions of the game. Stupid Joy-Con, disconnecting again, typical. I haven't heard anything about the multiplayer. I assumed it was going to be on the Switch, so it's kind of weird not to see it present in the game. So I don't know what quite happened in that regard. I'm definitely not missing it in the menu because I'm not seeing it present. And I didn't see it in the store page, so I guess maybe it's just kind of neglected on this particular version of the game, which is fine. I think the controls are definitely streamlined, easy to go. They have lots of little technical things, stealing bases, blah blah blah, doing everything like that. I think it's a pretty good polished package, and it's got a lot of new content. Just some minor performance and visual issues on the Switch, but I mean, overall, not too bad on here. I think it's enjoyable and fun game if you like baseball. It's kind of what your option is on the console.